59 Tactical. This is Mike, and today we're going to install on my Springfield XD40 the Powder River Precision XD drop-in kit. And let's get started. So this is my XD40. I probably got a lot of rounds for this. Well, a lot of rounds for me. Probably 1,200 rounds through this particular firearm. It's been great. This thing, I haven't had a single hiccup or problem with it. It's my TLR4 by Streamlight. Highly recommended. Very compact. This is the light and laser. I think I paid like $100 for this thing. I have no complaints with that either. Alright, so we're going to lock the slide back, move the magazine. We're going to rotate the takedown lever to the top position. Go ahead and make sure that there's not a round in there. And remove the slide. We're going to go ahead and take the slide and set it off to the side for now. So now we're left with the frame. The first thing we're going to do is take down the takedown lever. So we're going to rotate over here to about 10 o'clock and give it a little pull. It just popped right out. Continue to rotate it. Feel that spring move out of the way. And there you go. Takedown lever. And next we're going to take out these pins here, trigger pin and lock block pin, that one. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to you? Sounds good to me. Hammer. Now you don't have to take these all the way out. Just kind of, there's another spring on the other side. So you can just push them until they stop over there. And they'll be just fine over there. Take them all the way out, I suppose, if you really want to. Actually see that one. I think that's far enough. That's the end of my punch. Yep, that did it. I think. We'll find out in a second. Alright, let's take those two out, and then it should lift if I got those out far enough. I don't think I did. A longer punch. There we go. Gotta line the trigger up here. Right there. Alright, hopefully that'll do it. There it is. Alright, and the lock block should just lift right out. There you go. And there's the spring. That's what's holding these in. It goes somewhere just like that. And then once you get that out, be able to bring the trigger up. I'll have to move it back a little bit, push it back. And this trigger bar and trigger should just come right out as a group. Alright, with the locking block removed, we can take out little guy, slide lock, and you don't want to take a look at this and just all the things around your sear and everything, because you're going to put your hand over it, punch it, and it's all just going to fall right down through the magazine well. So with a punch here, there's a pin right there. It goes right through the sear. This is the sear pin. Going to get it started. Put my hand over it. Okay, got it started. And the reason I'm putting my hand over it is because the sear spring right there is going to come flying out in some other direction that I don't want it to. So I'll put my hand over it. Push there. Push that. Pull the thing and there's the pen, or the spring rather. Just pull that the rest of the way out. Sear pen, pull that. Take down that little guy. It's part of the trigger. Sear should come out too. Oh, there it went. Right through the magazine well. And then you can take the this part, whatever it's called, push that over a little bit. Take out your extractor. Not the extractor, that's an ejector. And then you can use your ejector to take this pin. You're going to push it over flush. Don't remove it, just push it over flush like that. Now you got a pile of parts. So because I have a lot of rounds through this gun, about 1,200 rounds or so, maybe 15, I don't know, whatever. I got a lot of rounds through this firearm, and I've never taken it down this far. So I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to go through and you know, really get in here and clean parts and inspect stuff, make sure that things are still in good working order. I'm also going to take a minute to polish the sear surface as well. So I went through and cleaned these parts up, and I was actually rather surprised. That was all I got out of it. It wasn't nearly as dirty as I thought it would be. So now I'm going to, oh, and I also polished the sear surface. Nice little mirror shine on there. Didn't go overboard, didn't change the angle of it or the sharpness of the sear edge. Just, you know, just a little bit of polishing. So I'm going to go through and replace all of the new parts, the old parts, since everything is just kind of laid out here, except for I didn't take apart the trigger yet, but, well, it's a trigger. I think I can figure that out. Figure that out. Can't figure out the package. There we go. Feeling a little special today, apparently. Alright, set that aside. Okay, the competition springs are in blue. Got a little blue edge on them. I am not going to use those. It's not even ready for this one yet anyway. So the trigger assembly, just set that over there next to it. Got some, apparently some springs in there. Open that up in a second. I forget what this is called. This is your, it's a safety, pushes the safety up and allows the hammer to, the striker. Allows the striker bias. This is one of your additional safeties. This is the old part. This is the new Powder River Precision part. So I'm going to go ahead and got a bag here labeled for my old stuff. So that part's getting retired. And this big long spring here is for the, it's probably a striker spring. We'll get to that. I'll take that out once we actually take apart the that slide. Alright, so we got the trigger pack open. There's only 3 springs in there. Spring pack, rather. For springs. Set that to the side. Alright, these are trigger springs. And the competition ones are in blue. Separate them, which is this one. I don't want to use that one, so I'm going to set that to the side. I want to use this one, the trigger, so set that there. And then this is the lighter sear spring, so we'll replace this one with that. And retire this part. And then there's this little guy. Actually, not sure what that is. piece goes in like that. And this guy goes in like this. Just like that. And then we're going to pull this back and we're going to put the spring. There. Just like that. So the last thing to get lined up on this hole is the ejector. So I've just got my pin back just far enough it's not all the way through to the other side. I'm going to feed this in. I'll try to feed this in. This is also going to line up with this pin here. I'm just going to push that in because we're going to have to push the spring back to the other side of that. So we just want it to go in a little bit. Helps us line this thing up. Then we're going to bring our sear pin in. Got that. Got it lined up with the sear. That. Just follow everything right on through. That's how you do that. Push that pin in. It should be just less than flush on both sides. A little bit more there. Alright, on this one, or here for this pin, I'm gonna push it back a little further than I wanted. And then we're going to get the spring to go under there. Maybe. Let's try pliers. Yeah, well, let's try a little bit more of this bar then. Or a little less bar. So close. Look at this. There we go. I've got it trapped under there. I'm going to use one of these roll pins to hold that over. Somehow. So use another roll pin to push that in. There we go. That spring is now captive. We're just going to push this one flush right there. That's where it lives. And that's how that goes. Alright, so that concludes the sear area. We'll move up here in a little bit. Before we, well actually I guess up here is the trigger. We're going to go ahead and dive into the trigger now. So this is your trigger bar and your trigger, obviously. And we're just going to go ahead and just pull it right off. Well, easy peasy. It's going to go in our old spring pile. We've got a new trigger with a new spring, and the spring goes in like so. I'll line those holes up and push that right through, sort of, just like that, and that trigger should hook onto your trigger bar, just like that. With the trigger swapped out, we're ready to go ahead and throw this all back together. So we're going to start with the this part, the slide lock. That's going to line up with this pin here, so just set that in there. We're going to grab the locking block, and we're going to put it in the right way for starters. I think we're going to put it in the right way. No, we have to put the trigger in first, which is easy to do. With the trigger, we're just going to set it back in this area here, next to it, so it can interact with the sear. We're going to put that right there. And then we're going to put this little guy. This little curly Q goes in this forward hole, just like so. I'll hold that, and the trigger bar is going to go into this area here. Hopefully without interfering with the trigger spring. I just slipped right past it. Awesome. Alright. These seem to be quite seated. Appropriately seated now. Line up the trigger somewhere in there. I'll have to adjust that later. They should be just slightly less than flush on both sides. And this guy, just messed with the trigger a little bit, got it all nice and lined up. Kind of. There we go. I'll take a punch, just tap these a little further in. So you can see you can't feel them, they're both recessed on both sides. So they need to go just a little bit further. Not too far on the forward one. Yeah, it looks alright. Alright, the only part we have left for the frame is this guy. Put it in, twist, and then get it lined up and twist again. Alright, there we go. So to take the slide down and remove the guide spring, remove the barrel, set those aside, and we're going to take our pen punch here, we're going to press in, we'll use a bigger one actually, that guy, we're going to press that in, and then slide back, and that's how that's going to come off. But I'm going to put my finger right here to catch the extractor assembly so it doesn't fly across the room and hit my dog. There's that little guy, little plastic thing, followed by striker pin, spring, and some kind of plunger, and that doesn't come out very easily anyway. So get that little spring right there. Into our kit. Remember, the blue one is a competition spring. I don't want to use that. I'm going to use this one, which is slightly heavier. And we're going to drop that guy in there. Really, that was supposed to go the other way. Put that in there, our spring. And this guy. Push all that down somehow. Like that. Make sure we put our piece in the correct orientation. Like that. Just far enough to hold it. It's barely hanging on. Get in here with the punch. Push it down. Some more. I should have just done that to begin with. And get in here with a smaller punch. There we go. Slides back together. And that completes the striker spring installation for the upper. So I got one more to do. There we go, and there we go. So we're going to go ahead and function check it now. Pull the trigger. See, it's cocked. That is nice and short. It's a lot lighter too. We can keep the trigger depressed. Rack the slide. Release it for see how short the reset is. And then pull it again. That works. Go ahead and rack it. We're going to make sure that we're going to check the back strap safety now. So with that not depressed, it should not fire. That's not. With that depressed and not pressing the trigger safety, that works. And they both work together. Excellent.